This episode of Ticket Volume is brought to you by us, InvGate. Get service operations under control in no time. Get 1 free month of our software solution by going to try.invigate.com. Ticket Volume brings you a lifelong learner, a passionate trainer with a history going all the way back to CompUSA and experience at organizations like Peregrine Systems, HP, as well as over 12 years at ServiceNow. Welcome to Ticket Volume, news and information for improving IT experiences. I'm your host, Matt Barron. Each week, I chat with different leaders to share insights on service management, technology, business, and this is no exception. By the way, while you're here, let us know what you want to learn about, see, and explore. Maybe there's an expert you want us to grill on the podcast. Connect with us, leave comments, DM us. Find us on your favorite platform, leave a review. We're here to serve. For now, though, let's begin. Welcome to Ticket Volume, Sean McClean.
Hey, sir. So happy to be here. It's great to get to talk to you again and chat with you.
Yes, thank you for being here. Thank you so much for the time. You and I actually connected, gosh, I think it was Knowledge 10 or Knowledge 11, like 12, 13 years ago. And you've always been such a great energy. You always bring this positivity. So let's talk about where you came from. How did you get into training? What was CompUSA like?
Thank you. It's really funny. I got sucked into teaching at University of Georgia. My professor got sick and he was like, somebody needs to get in the class here, and gave me some notes, and I jumped in the classroom full of freshmen and went, wait, what? And then I found I loved it, but I wasn't a professor.
Yeah.
So then it came to looking at technical, and I taught there for quite a while. But as an adjunct, there's only so far you can go. And then I got to do technical training at CompUSA, and we were working on a project traveling throughout the country, and it was fantastic because we were going. This will be great for people who kind of go back a little bit in IT. There was a certain federal organization that was moving to a token ring network from all paper records. And they had offices all throughout the country, ranging from like Cordele, Georgia to, Chicago they were just all over. And so we started going around and training different teams of people to manage a local area network and all. So from the very technical to the here's how to use Word. And I loved it. I loved everything about the teaching aspect. It's actually, and I think you and I had talked about this, it's how I met my wife. We were traveling and training, and we were training leads. So we get different teams of trainers coming in, and I would get a team, and they'd be like, there's this woman, you should talk to her. And meanwhile, she was getting the same thing. And at some point I was in my office, and we got on the phone, and we started talking about teaching and how much we loved teaching or where teaching should go. And the next thing I know, my manager popped in the door and kind of smiled at me and was like, shutting the lights off. I was like, oh my God, I've been on the phone with her for 6 hours. And she was like, it's okay, here's the keys, we're good. So teaching's kind of always been the thing. And CompUSA was a fun start. And that idea of like just going to different groups of people was fantastic and fun for me. So yeah.
I love it. It's such a good story because you are doing what you love, right? And you've been doing this for decades now, and it's clear that you like it because you've stayed in it. And I think that people need to hear that every once in a while, that there is something, you can be doing your work and something that comes along and suddenly you're like, whoa, this is what triggers something for me. This is how I feel rewarded or satisfied in some way. So what is it about teaching and learning that keeps you coming back, showing up in the classroom?
Well, this is the funny thing to me that I think with teaching that really hits. Teaching is it's kind of science, but there's some art in it. So much of it is about getting to know the people that are in the class and understanding. It's kind of like it's translation, but for knowledge. Like so many people think that teaching is, I will talk down about this sitting at my, podium. And I wrote an article about this a while back, saying that, I'm your pizza boy, because I had one of my first, it was like postgraduate work, and it was online. And I was listening to this professor, this very esteemed person, tell us how privileged we should be. And at the time, I'd been working with a company doing fairly well for myself, and I was taking the class out of curiosity and because I had some time. So I'm listening and kind of berate what he envisioned was a room full of freshmen. And it flipped my perspective, because as I was sitting there, I was going, no, I'm not privileged to hear you. I'm actually paying you to deliver a service to me. And when that happened, I was like, my head just went, oh, well, if that's the deal, it's kind of like you're delivering pizza. I'd better figure out what it is you want. And then when I started realizing that, it changed the way I thought about delivery for classes. So much of it is about getting to know their context. And that made it interesting to me, especially, and you know, we teach technology. So in a lot of places, it's like the same stuff, the same time, and we see that we kind of get the same stories. But then when you start realizing that a lot of it's about getting to know them before you start making those connections and doing those fun stories, then it's kind of art, because then you're pulling them in, but then you're trying to make connections to their context. And that's a lot of what's going on today that makes it so much fun. So
yes, training is a service, and you get this huge opportunity to meet a bunch of people. It's certainly a way to grow your network, and a great way to meet newcomers to our growing industry. But I really like that you point out that you are there to serve. My wife is an educator as well, and she always says this thing that the person speaking is the person who's doing the most learning.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
And it's the same with your professor. Like, yeah, you should feel totally entitled because you get this amazing person to listen to. You have access to this amazing person. Yes, that's great. And I've got value as well, right?
Right.
And being participative in a class, of course, is you're going to learn more. You're going to get more what you expect out of it. You're going to get your answers, questions. You probably see that all the time. The active listeners, the active participants, they get more out of it, right?
Oh yeah, and it's one of the things that I'm always trying to reach for is to tell whether I'm delivering virtual or delivering workshops or delivering physical classes, and it doesn't matter how big or what the audience is. If I can get them to understand that their engagement helps lock that learning in for them, then they're going to go farther with it and they're going to do more with it, and I'm going to hear from them in 6 months or 2 years or 10 years or farther out with the things that they've done with it. So it's an opportunity. And I love what you said, that your wife brought that up, because I've pulled so many cool stories from so many experiences, all that have come from delivering teaching, but mostly because I was trying to learn about who they were or where they came from. And that's a huge thing, especially now when we have we're starting to get to this area where everybody's identifying reskilling and the need for skill in tech and all of those pieces. We need to look to broader audiences, and we need to look to teach not the same class we've taught, but get to know people in the, we're so used to doing everything in a very, here's the deal, I go this way. And now when we start going, we've got broader audiences to reach to, different people to kind of get to know, that changes both the class, the examples, the stories, the everything. And so it's a huge opportunity to kind of broaden my experience. So I love that part about it.
Yes, so much has diversified because of the influx of remote work, and our remote collaboration tool sets have, of course, expanded. And so we see different people from different walks of life. And it's great because it breaks down some of the long-standing biases in our industry, some of the long-standing perceptions in our industry about who an IT professional is, who a technical professional is. And I saw today, it was actually a really good LinkedIn post. Someone posted, you shouldn't be chasing titles, you should be chasing skills.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a good one, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny too, because that process is not, we are used to in IT like a classic progression. And it doesn't work that way anymore. Not to mention, I mean, everyone is recognizing we need to grow that skills area, right? There's a huge need and a growing need for increased skilled work and increased learning around that. But we can't get there just by teaching the same people who have followed the same path, went here, went to college, took this class, became an IT. And we have so many more people opening doors to get into IT from different places, whether it's military transition, whether it's pre-college or outside college, or all these areas. We talked before, and one of the cool things we're doing right now is we're kind of moving towards recognizing, and I love this part, I'm involved in a program called Rise Up, which is a kind of about looking at what they identify as an opportunity gap. And the coolest thing about the opportunity gap is just recognizing it's not just the here to here to here. There's all of these other people and the opportunity to help bring them to training by delivering maybe not the training that everybody is used to always the same audience and always the same way is huge. So yeah.
Yes.
I think that's
a career path isn't linear.
Right.
Learning, no one learns the same way, right?
Right. And that angle is just so, it's like a whole new landscape of training and delivering, right? Because we're so used to step to step to step to step, but it doesn't work that way. I don't know. At least not now.
Yeah. And we saw this in the episode of Ticket Volume where we had Kev Tech on, and he, I think he embodies that really, that, your path is your journey. You're going to find something that strikes a chord in your brain or in your heart, and you're going to follow that, whether it be technical, whether it be, people and managing people. And I think it's key to keep that clear. And I see it on Reddit all the time, that people are trying to figure out their careers. And so often IT people are pushed into management jobs because it's like, that's the only place the career path goes.
Right.
And then they find themselves managing people and they're like, this doesn't work. Something's not right here. And they are forced basically to look outside their organization. Like, where can I grow beyond this? Because I've hit the technical ceiling of this organization.
Yeah. And I think it's so funny that you say that, because I feel like I dodged a bullet there. I'm lucky enough to work with a company that grew me and because I went through that line. They're like, do you want to manage? And I'm like, do you want to? And even way back, when my wife and I, she did training and stuff as well. She loves management and grows well in that area. I looked and was like, and like exactly like you were saying, I assumed that was the only direction I could go. We've done a lot to build individual contributors and roles and areas in there. And I thought, well, maybe I don't have to go there, but it works on all levels of the scale, right? You can become expert in one set of skills and not climb necessarily a vertical ladder, but there's a dozen horizontal ones. It's funny, I just started looking at the KevTech presentation stuff that you did today. I was like, this is perfect. And the timing is just right when we have people that are at this level and not necessarily wanting to go to management, but so many people that maybe not technical or not see themselves as wanting to be a coder. That drives me nuts, because when we teach classes, it's not everybody that takes the class is going to have like the reflection of the code running off their glasses as they're typing in the background and doing, if you know technical stuff, that doesn't mean that you have to be a coder. I mean, everything from what I do, I teach, like, that is not necessarily writing lines of code all the time, but, from that to marketing to, and in today's world, almost anything you do, having a technical skill set can benefit whichever direction you're going. Like,
exactly.
Anyway. So I think it's huge.
Yeah. And IT is a great place to start, because so many organizations and so many teams within your organization rely on us. Like, you could go into project management. I mean, if you want a really generalist IT job, you don't want to be on the phone and you don't want to do tech, go be a BA. I mean, you're going to love your Excel spreadsheets for a little bit, and you're going to be digging through the organization, trying to find the buried bodies and the potholes. And there's a lot of opportunity and tons of work. Right. So, Sean, how has training been evolving? How has it changed over the last 20 years or so? Where do you see it going in the future?
Wow. It's interesting, because it's an answer that I go, I don't know. I know where it's gone. I've watched so many of the things that have been transitions be the kinds of transitions that everybody's like, yeah, this will never happen. Again, with my wife and training and stuff, one of the things that kind of got us talking forever and a day was about I don't know if you've heard CBT, computer-based training. Oh my God, it's computer-based training. It'll end all instruction ever. And then, and then it became virtual. And so, oh my gosh, virtual training will never happen. And now it's TikTok, and people are, well, we'll never learn in 30 seconds or Vine, or I think all of those things, we're learning bits and pieces from learning each of those pieces of delivery, right? And I think us evolving in what we deliver and where we deliver is part of it. In addition to maybe not teaching the formal classrooms, there are all these connections between the, okay, I'm learning in what we think of as the traditional formal manner, and I'm working. You know, KevTech and you and have talked about some of those pieces where it's not just I know IT skills, I have to know interview skills, I have to know resume skills. And those things are bridges, and will be probably trainers, I think, and training classically will be doing more between the classes. Sure, I can watch these classes, but I need someone to guide me. I need someone to mentor me. I need workshops to work through that. And I see that as something we'll get more involved in. So, yeah.
I talked at Mid-Ohio HDI recently. I spoke in front of them about personal branding and IT careers. And I basically, you know, ChatGPT is super popular. Like most of the stuff that I'm going to talk about, you could probably Google. So I actually put in that presentation, the first half is basically everything that you need to like Google and ask ChatGPT about. And then the rest of it is like the human element. How do we as humans now adapt to what those things are giving us and telling us? How do we fit into that world?
That's awesome.
Kind of crazy.
And well, no, you're right. Cause it's like, the virtual environment or doing Zoom like we're doing now, that's a tool. It facilitates the same goal we were trying to accomplish, you know, 15 years ago when we would sit in the classroom behind a podium, which is the same thing they were trying to accomplish when, you know, fuzzy guys would stand in robes behind a rock and say the same thing to a bunch of people sitting around. I mean, it's just different tool sets to accomplish the unskill, reskill, because that's another piece to it, right? You have to unlearn components and then relearn those pieces. And so I'm always kind of noodling with asking about and trying to find out about what are those new ways or different ways. And if I can find different people in different contexts from other audiences, they give me tips and insights. My daughters know more about TikTok than I do, of course, but learning and asking and talking to them tells me, oh, this is another way to learn, and I'd better figure that out. It's funny, we're doing a session, I do this thing monthly called the KCSE. It's an informal meeting of people who teach, and it's not just technical trainers. We've got yoga instructors, flight instructors, college professors, and it's just it's a community of practice, people that enjoy teaching and doing these. And we're getting together to do a miniature think tank on that topic and go, what do you think it's going to be? Because I think it's always evolving. It depends on the audience. As we broaden the audience, that changes, and we just need to stay on top of that always. But that's what makes it fun. So
yeah, exactly. That change that's always happening, being able to adapt to it. I mean, that is what makes those communities of practice so valuable, staying connected with them.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I wanted to talk about real quickly with you, because there's always an end goal in mind when it comes to teaching and training, whether it be a specific skill you're trying to skill up on, or you just need new perspective on that skill, or like a refresher. What is your take on certifications? What do you think about those little badges that we collect and get? I saw recently someone's office picture, you know, they've got their nice desk, and then over on the wall, they had all their ITIL certs printed off. I was just shocked, number one, at the number of ITIL certs they had, and number two, that it seemed really, really important to them.
Right.
And I'm sort of the opposite end of that spectrum, where I don't actually find them as important. Like, I did PMP training, but I never got the certification, but I leverage that training all the time.
Right.
What's your take on it?
Oh, you hit my, I'm like, dude, do we have 2 more hours? We could talk and let's get 19 other people in to talk about this too.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think you and I wish I wasn't, but if I'm honest with myself, I'm a total cert hound. I like all the letters, and I don't want them here, but I still love getting them. It's almost like it's like a guy with a record collection. I just want all the vinyl, everything I can get. But here's the thing, and I love talking to people who are trying to work or get work and thinking about certifications. Getting work it's a 3-legged stool. It's a pyramid. There's quantitative proof that you're good. and that's your certification. There's qualitative proof that you're good, and that's experience. And then there's that other component, for lack of a better term, I've always called mojo. And when we think about it, we always think about certification from the, ooh, can I pass this test? But when we really think about it, what we should be thinking about it is from the hirer's perspective. The hirer's perspective, they're trying to get good people. And they're like, if I can get, I have these three things. I want to know if you're a good fit with my org. I want to know if you're going to bring good experience. And I don't want to have to interview 25,000 people because I'm busy. So if I can use a certification as a filter for that, now I have the quantitative proof. And when you look at that three-legged stool, then instead of just certification, you can start thinking about, if I have 1 million certs, and I know you know that person, right? We all know that person. I have 1 million certs, and it was bad if I say that they have 1 million certs and no value. You know, we've all seen that. But when you realize that, like, you have to have all of it, then you can build your certifications strategically. So yeah, I'm going to build the quantitative leg of that stool. But if I have experience component or I lack the mojo component, then that's kind of a problem. And so when I talk about certification preparedness, one of the things I try to help people with is going, don't just study the cert. Get in a community and practice the cert together, because then you're killing two birds with one stone. Now you're getting the cert, but you're getting to know a network of people. And that sounds a lot like experience. And man, you get on a community and you're active in that community, and maybe you ask questions or build things or based on that cert. Now, when you go into that interview, you don't just go, oh, I have 18 pieces of paper. Well, Bob, last week when I was working with Matt and we were building this app, doesn't mean you were doing it for a job, but you have experience now. And that's, I think, like, certification only stands as a support for the other two. So yeah, that's
good stuff.
That's my point.
I love that, because you got to think about it. You got to think about broadly. And I love actually that you pointed out specifically, you have to think from the hiring manager's perspective. And that's kind of where this question was actually coming from. Someone reached out to me recently and they said, you know, I'm hiring a service desk analyst. They said that they were a level 1 analyst. They come in the first day, I've hired them full time, and they're just not meeting level 1 standards. They're maybe level 0.5 or somewhere below level 1.
Yeah.
And I think you nailed it, right? Like the certificate is going to help qualify. It's a filter, just like all of our tools. When we're trying to find that one ticket, it's nice to have those filters.
Right.
And it's the same thing. Like, okay, these people fit into this box. They kind of make sense. And then from there, it's up to the hiring manager. Look for the experience. Look for the culture fit, and see if that person's going to work.
Yeah. Well, and I think it works both ways. You have the people who are extremely certified, and it's the folks who lift weights and they're all about the buys, right? They have just massive biceps and like itty bitty legs. If you build certification and that's all you have, it works. It can work the other way. If you have gazillions of miles of experience, that can be dangerous too. I've seen folks who have experience. It's, and I think about that with myself. I'm getting to that point where I'm old enough that I have a ton of experience. I don't know if you'd want me just for experience, because I'm going to do things in COBOL. Like if I have certification that shows you that I'm staying current, that I know, and I'm actively searching being the most current in those things. And in that case, for someone with a lot of experience, certification can help round out that picture. It can show you that, oh, I just pursued a badge that just got created on social networking, because I think that, someone who looks at me and goes, this guy's a little long in the tooth. Oh, but he's still studying new things. He just got he's pursuing graduate work. Okay, cool. He's interested. So I think it's definitely a balance with all of those pieces together.
Well put. Diversity. Do it all.
Yeah. Yeah. Dig into every bit.
So what advice would you give to other people that are either starting out their training career, or they've been trainers for a little while, they're trying to get to that next level? What do you tell people that are new and are coming to the pedagogical industry?
I love the fancy word, pedagogy. I would say, and I think the recommendation or tip that I would give for training may reflect the background I have in IT, because I think it works for both. Get involved in a community. Communities in IT, or communities in training, or communities are the place to substitute experience. You and I run into each other at conferences and stuff, and one of the last conferences wasn't SITS. One of the conferences I did is that community work is experience you can earn in your pajamas. Because if you get onto some of these online communities and you read the questions and get involved, people get to know you. There are people that I work with a really fantastic guy, Ermal Anaj. He's active in Reddit. He's a training and rise up evangelist. He talks a lot about, but he's known in the industry. But he's known in the industry because he's on Reddit. He's in the community, and he teaches classes, and people know the classes. But he's known by a 10 times wider audience than the students that he's taught, because he answers questions in the community and people have seen his name. So whether you're delivering training, or you're involved in IT, or whether you're pursuing IT careers in any field, pick that area and find the online community, get involved, read questions. You don't have to answer them, just read them and comment and like. Eventually people will get to know, and eventually you'll start learning how to answer them. So that would be my first off.
Yeah, that's great. If you want to be a part of a community, be a part of the community. Yeah, right. That really is key. So Sean McClean, where can people connect with you and learn more?
Oh, I love this. And it's funny because when I watched the other podcasts, I would hear people when they'd be like, I have this and I have that. And I'm like, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as Sean P. McClean. I write articles in the Medium. I have a couple of things on YouTube, but usually I just connect them. I'm not like public on YouTube or anything like that. So LinkedIn's probably the best place. Medium is another place I post a lot of articles about teaching, training, IT, career kind of stuff. And this one I would throw out there on any of those communities. If you're interested or you have feedback, tell me what I could do to do more of. Like if you read stuff in the Medium or you read stuff in LinkedIn, do me a favor, comment, tell me what it is you'd like to see me do more of, so that I can start getting out either into that form of media, or that I can do more in LinkedIn or Medium, or either that is useful and beneficial.
Exactly. Provide that feedback. We're all looking to improve. Thanks, Sean. Thanks for being here.
Oh, sir, it's such a pleasure. Looking forward to seeing this and the next one and the next one. So,
and same to our audience. Thanks for listening to this episode. We've got the next one and the next one and the next one. They're all coming. We built a new website at ticketvolume.com where you can subscribe. You can also see the new live episodes that we're putting out. There will be one in April 14th. We're going to be talking about service desk leadership, service and support leadership with Tony North from Kings County. It'll be a great episode. Make sure you tune in. And you can submit topics. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, if you've got a podcast that you want us to create, just ask, because we're here to serve. That's what we like to do. And you're actually, making my job a lot easier. And speaking of making my job easier, leave a review for the podcast, because that will make our job easier through the algorithms, rewarding us for your interactions. This podcast is brought to you by InvGate, the all-in-one IT service and asset management solution to help world-class organizations build world-class IT support teams. If you're looking for a solution to help build your help desk or service desk without the headache of year-long implementations, you will love InvGate. In fact, IT teams from Toyota, McDonald's, and NASA all use InvGate to manage IT operations and IT inventory data, to automate workflows and centralize data so that they can focus on delivering great service. Because good service is good business.